Hi guys. So, hold on. Wait, turn that off. So I wanted to get a little real with you guys. I told you guys we were gonna be discussing mommyhood, and there's like something that I really wanted to discuss. I've been wanting to discuss it since I opened up my channel. I just want to get it out there, get the awareness out there, and let other moms know that they're not alone. Um, So, I guess I'm gonna have to go into like a lot of my backstory, and it's gonna be a journey, guys. So, take a seat because this is gonna be a big one. So, I don't even know where to start. Um, I guess I'll start with my birth. Yes, it's one of those videos. No, I'm just kidding. But, it has a lot to do with what I'm about to talk about. So, my mom was a young teen mom. She was 19 when she had me. My dad kind of took off. He decided that he did not want to have a kid, and he did not want to be with my mom. My mom thought it was true love. He thought it was lust. So, really kind of broke my mom's heart, and she was left, this ever-growing stomach and a guy that didn't want to be with her. And a family who, surprisingly, being that my family has such like strong opinionated views on everything, they supported her. They really did. They could have, disowned her and told her you're on your own and kicked her out, but they supported her. But they supported her to the fact that she did not have a choice. She got herself into this mess, and she was expected to, give birth and take care of this child, being myself. I know, I'm special. So what ended up happening is I was born. My dad really never came around. His family was part of my life for a little while. My grandmother on his side she had lymphoma. I think I'm saying that right. Anyway, so she had to walk around with a breathing machine and everything, and she ended up passing away when I was really young, around 10, 11 years old. So after that, I never heard from the rest of my family again. I do still talk to my cousin, but other than that, I have a brother who is almost my age, a sister who now has a kid of her own, and I have a younger brother that's 5 years old. So I don't talk to them at all, but I talk to my cousin, and this is a big thing for me because this is, my family on their side, they don't believe in mental illness, and it definitely is hereditary. My uncle Jeff, he suffers from it, and my family on that side kind of disowned him. They kind of said, we don't believe that this is a thing, so they don't talk to him. And I find that really sad, like how you could disown somebody for something that's not their fault. Mental illness is not, it's not a joke. It's not something that somebody can control. So where I'm going with this is, so my grandmother raised me. She definitely raised me. She stepped in. My mom was definitely not ready to be a mom. She still wanted to party and have friends, and she took off to Florida at one point, and so my grandmother stepped in and raised me. My mom did come back around the time I was 6, and I went and moved in with her, and she, at that point, got engaged and decided that she was going to start a family with my stepdad. He, asked her to marry him. They got married, and they got pregnant with my sister, who is very much in my life. She's like my best friend. And, but my mom, at that point, had postpartum depression. She had a couple of miscarriages. She was severely, she went from being happy-go-lucky to a complete 180. She was, yelling all the time, and every little thing bothered her. And back then, depression and postpartum and stuff like that, it wasn't a big thing. Like, people didn't talk about it, and people didn't believe in, medication. They didn't believe in counselors, and, it, especially coming from an Italian family, like, it's very closed door. Your issues are your issues. They're not everybody else's issues, and you're not going to, they don't believe in counselors. They don't believe in talking about what goes on in your house to other people. So she struggled with it for many years, and she still struggles with it today. So, her and me argued a lot because she went through that. And I mean, I'm not saying that I argued with her specifically because she went through that, but, her attitude, the yelling and constant arguing. And so I moved back and forth from her house to my grandparents because I wanted to be with my sister, but didn't really want to deal with all that. So I lived with my grandparents for a while. I think it's 3 years this year. 3 years the last day of April, so April 30th. My grandma passed away. She had lung cancer. That was a huge hit to me. She was one of my best friends. She raised me. She was my mom. She was who made me breakfast in the morning, and who took me to daycare, and who helped me with my homework, and she was my mom. Me and my husband we weren't married at that point. We had been together for a while. We had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years, and we couldn't get pregnant. Nothing that we were doing was working, and I had some issues. I had a tilted uterus, and I didn't ovulate like a normal person. I only ovulated once every 3 months, so it contributed to me not being able to get pregnant. I ended up getting pregnant, and literally I think 2 weeks before she passed, I found out I was pregnant. A month after her funeral, I was starting to show at that point because I just wasn't focusing on anything that was going on, so I wasn't really thinking about that. So I had my daughter, and it was the best thing that ever could have happened to me. I was so ecstatic. But then I got postpartum depression. I sank really low. And I didn't have it to the point of, not, hating my kids. I know some people go through different things. Mine was a constant fear and anxiety that I wasn't good enough, and that I was going to be like my mom and yelling all the time, and, abusive, and I had a big fear. So that constant weight on me of not wanting to be that way, I had a fear that when I first had her, that there was no other way, that I was going to be like that, and that she would be better off if I put her up for adoption, because I didn't want her to have to live through what I lived through. So I really struggled with it, and I sought help, and part of my therapy was that I had to go back to work a couple of days a week. I couldn't be the stay-at-home mom that I wanted to be, and I had to go back to work for my mental health and see a counselor and get on some medication. But it's, even when you're medicated and you're seeing somebody, it's still a struggle. The reason that this is all being brought up is last year's tragedy struck my family again. The only father that I've ever known, my grandfather, he passed away. He had genetic stomach cancer, and it happened really quick. He wasn't feeling well, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. He ended up getting diagnosed, and they went in to remove a tumor, and they told him he had less than 3 months, and he passed away about a month later. So, and the anniversary of his death, his 1-year death, was yesterday. So, I mean, I guess the thing that I want to talk about most is the fact that, you know, you're not alone out there. When you're at the point when you're just so down in everything that's going on around you, and you want to rip your hair out, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, how can I do this? You know, I'm not good enough for these kids, and, you know, I don't want my kids to live like this because, you know, I can't, you know, control the feelings that are going on inside me. You're not alone. I feel like that a lot. I am going through some stuff with, you know, my own, you know, my family stuff, but then I have pre-existing issues, depression and PTSD and stuff like that. And, you know, there are days when I wake up and I, you know, wholeheartedly put everything that I have into my parenting, and I love every second of it. And then there are days when I wake up and I bare minimum, and then at the end of the day I look at myself and I'm like, how could I do that to my kids? How can you be like that? Why wouldn't you want to try? But it's not the fact that I don't want to try, it's the fact that it's a struggle. It's an internal struggle, and you can't really understand that unless you have postpartum depression. And it never truly does go away. People think, you know, oh, well, with help, you know, after your child's about a year old, it never does go away. Once you have postpartum depression, you have it throughout the rest of your life. Like, I will, you know, there'll never be a time when, you know, if I don't do something perfect and I have a bad day where I don't look at myself and go, you know, you're a shitty mom. Those feelings will always be there. I think it's a lot, you know, bigger on me that because of what I went through with my own mom, that I, you know, it's like a constant fear that I don't want to be like that. So it's like trying to prove myself wrong that I'm not gonna end up like that. But, you know, you guys aren't alone. Don't ever feel alone. And don't be afraid to talk about it. That's one of the biggest stigmas out there, is that, you know, things should be kept quiet. They absolutely should not, because when you keep them quiet and you pretend like nothing is wrong, then you end up having a nervous breakdown. And I have been there. I had one just recently, I'm going to be honest, about a month ago. I had a major nervous breakdown about my parenting, and, you know, with the, you know, anniversaries of my grandparents' deaths coming up, and, you know, just a lot of things. And so then, you know, you get into one little argument with your husband or whatever, and, you know, it just sends you off the deep end. And it's not pretty. It isn't. And you shouldn't let it get to that point. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to get help for it. You know, and it's don't let other people make you feel like there's something wrong with you, because there isn't. You're doing the best that you can with what you have. And I guarantee the fact that you are that concerned about your kids, that you get nervous like that, they're in the best possible situation that they could be in. And you know why I'm saying that? Is because you genuinely care about them more than anybody else in the world. And you would do whatever you have to for them. Don't let anybody ever make you feel like you're a bad parent. I'll end up talking to you guys later about, my journey with my grandparents with cancer and stuff like that. I'll talk about that and how to deal with grief and other things while you're parenting, because it is a big struggle. There were days when I literally broke down and cried in front of my kids and started heaving, and I couldn't even catch my breath. I mean, because all intents and purposes, I lost both my parents. It kills me every day. But I'm still on that journey. I I haven't completed that yet. Because it's you feel like you take a step forward, like I was taking steps forward dealing with my grandmother's death, and then we got hit with my grandfather's. And it's like you gotta start all over again. I don't know. I really don't know how to end this video because there's no good way to end it. Because it's not like a smile, lighthearted topic. I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. And if you ever need to talk, I've been there. Don't be afraid to message me. You can message me on Instagram. It's at TheRealMom3 on Instagram. If you ever just need to talk. Just know that somebody's here for you.